Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Irene's DIY Addiction and today I'll show you how to make adorable Christmas ornaments as seen on Victorian Christmas trees. I'll start with making adorable Christmas babies. I've printed out faces for them and I'm cutting them out, leaving a small allowance and framing them with cotton wool. By the way, you can do without cotton here and make a lace trim. I did just that. We'll show you a bit later. Next, I'm making something like a rolled up blanket out of spun cotton. It is very basic, actually just a kind of a roll made of cotton. And I'm attaching the faces to those rolls. Next, I'll decorate the babies. First, I wanted to wrap them into crepe paper like in blankets, but then I came across an antique image of a baby in a nice swaddle and I've decided to try to make something similar. I'm cutting out a paper oval for the bottom part and a shortened oval for the top part. I've cut it by eye, but I'll leave the template for you in the description box as usual. I'm placing the babies in between the two pieces of paper and sealing them around the perimeter. Here, best is to use thicker white glue so that the paper is less crinkled. And I'll be decorating the swaddles with ribbons. I'm making a simple frill out of a thin ribbon. You can also use thin lace here or a paper frill. And I'm attaching the frill onto the swaddle. I've decorated the entire oval around the perimeter and also stretched the frill along the top of the swaddle and then added another ribbon diagonally. Here you can come up with a variety of options, adding lace, bows, crisscross ribbons, flowers, snowflakes, and a bunch of other things. I'm attaching a bow to the center of the swaddle. Looks beautiful. I've decorated the second swaddle just the same way, but this time I've used pink ribbon. I think they'll look nice together. And then I've decided to change the framing for the faces. The pictures I found are not babies but elder child faces, and the cotton edge kind of highlights that. So I've decided to make lace frills like they're wearing bonnets. I'm gathering thin lace on a thread and sewing it around the faces. And finally, an optional step. Since these are vintage-style ornaments, I've decided to distress the cotton a little as it's too white and bright. This is very easy to do using strong tea. I'm simply painting the cotton with tea using a wide brush. Don't forget to take the babies out of the swaddles if you're gonna do this, otherwise the paper can get soggy. And finally, I'm smearing the cotton with glue and sprinkling it with mica. I'm also adding paper snowflakes onto the swaddles. And I'm attaching hanging loops. Here I'm using hot glue to speed up the process. The babies turned out adorable. Such ornaments were very popular in the 19th century. Christmas is a religious feast after all, so the images of the infant Jesus and babies in general were very often found on Christmas trees in Victorian times. They are really easy to make and you can use all kinds of embellishments to decorate the swaddles and even make them out of fabric. The next ornament is a really free interpretation of a Victorian style, actually. I came across a beautiful antique puzzle picture featuring little angels holding a flower garland, and I've decided to make a Christmas garland. I'm attaching the angels' images onto the cardboard and cutting out the figures. By the way, I've linked all the printables used today in the description box below the video. They are free as usual. Then I'm attaching the angels onto a thread. Since on the picture they were holding a flower garland, they are posed very nicely. Some are hanging, some are pulling a thread, and actually this was what gave me the idea to make a garland with them. I'm gluing the thread to the angels, trying to match it with the poses to be able to hang them nicely on the Christmas tree. I've decided to make 3D wings for the angels, and I'll be using golden crepe paper for that purpose. The 4 angels have dragonfly wings. To make these, I'm cutting kind of bunny ears out of the paper. Then I'm coating the wing on the angel with white glue, placing a piece of crepe paper on it and gathering it in tiny folds near the base of the wing. The easiest way to do this is using tweezers. Looks really nice and elegant. The 4 angels have butterfly wings. For them, I'm preparing different bases. I'm cutting out some kind of butterfly wings. Here, it's important that the crinkles on the paper go across the bases. Then you'll fold them easily. I'm attaching the crepe wings to the angels and gathering them in folds the same way using tweezers. In places, I've had to trim the wings, as originally they were just partially visible on the image. And finally, the 4 little angels have real angel wings, and I've shaped them right on the angels. I'm attaching a piece of paper to the wing and folding the edge of the paper to the back. And then I'm shaping the wing right with my fingers and trimming it to make a pointed tip with folds. Finally, the angels are finished, and next I'll make flowers. For making the flower garland, I'll be using my birthday gift, a die-cutting machine, and these cotton dies to be able to make many flowers at once. I'm placing a piece of bronze paper on a mat, placing the cotton dies on top and securing everything with masking tape so that it doesn't move. I'm covering it with a platform and rolling the whole pile through the machine. It works as a press roller actually. And here is what we've got. You can cut out such flowers manually, of course, but using the machine makes this job way quicker. I'll also leave the templates of all the flowers if you don't have a machine, and I'll try to find similar die cuts if you have. Next, I'm going to add volume to the flowers. To do this, you'll need a piece of thick rubber and something with a round tip. I'll use tools for making artificial flowers, but you can also use a round tip of a pen, a brush, or manicure dots. These are the tools with balls at the top, and the larger ones work for making small flowers too. I'm pressing the center of each petal with the ball and it becomes dimensional. The flowers look great and almost like they are made of metal. You can also use pastel-colored paper here for a more vintage look. I'm also making double flowers by gluing smaller flowers into the bigger ones. I'm arranging the finished flowers along the thread and gluing them on. I want a very eerie garland, so I'm leaving gaps in between the flowers, but you may also want to make a denser packed garland. Since the flowers on the thread can twist around, I've inserted the thread in between the 2 layers of paper, or I've made the flowers double-sided, or added sepals on the inside, or simply attached a tiny piece of gold crepe paper to hide the thread. At the very end, I've also decided to add pink flowers to the angel's hair, and I also added pink flowers in between the gold ones. I don't know how much Victorian inspired this garland looks, but I really like it. So delicate and eerie, and the golden flowers look elegant and not too bright. This is just what you want for a Victorian Christmas tree. You may also want to decorate the garland with pearl beads. They will also look great here. course, no Victorian Christmas tree will be complete without beautiful paper dolls. This is probably the most popular of Victorian-style ornaments on the web. I've decided to make two girls wearing nightgowns. I'm attaching the images to the cardboard and cutting them out. On the images, both girls are holding Christmas trees and one is also holding a lantern. I'll make them separately, so I'm cutting off the Christmas trees and the lantern. I'll be making the nightgowns out of crepe paper, the same one I already used for making babies. I'm cutting out a piece of a suitable size, coating the neck area with glue and making folds with tweezers. I'm doing the same on the back side to make a 3D looking dress. I'm stuffing the dress a little with cotton, bending the edge and shaping it with my fingers, and then gluing the paper so that the bottom of each dress is all sealed. I'm making the sleeve from a narrow strip of paper and I'm stretching it out a little in the middle part so that it becomes kind of convex, then gluing the strip to the shoulder and making folds with the tweezers. Then I'm also stuffing it a little with cotton so that the sleeve looks puffy and gathering the paper at the cuff. I've made the second sleeve the same way, filled it with cotton and gathered it up. You can also make 3D arms, making the base from wire and then wrapping it in cotton, and the ornaments will look more dimensional then, as only the faces and the legs are flat, but I wanted to keep the original poses as much as possible, so my girls are still rather flat. I'm dressing up the second girl in exactly the same way. To add volume to the heads, I've decided to make bonnets. I'm using a tiny piece of antique lace for one of the girls to make a gorgeous bonnet. Here I've simply gathered the edges of the lace onto a thread and stuffed it with a little cotton. And I've also made bows for her out of blue silk ribbon. The second girl gets green bows. Here there were holly leaves on the image. And I'm making the bonnet from narrow lace. The trim is a rosette, and the back part of the bonnet is yet another rosette, but stuffed with cotton and also gathered along the outer edge to create a 3D bag for the head. Now let's add nice little details. I'm cutting the base of the lantern out of cardboard. The top and the bottom are half-inch squares. The posts are also made of cardboard, but you can make them from wooden matches as well. I'm making the handle out of a wire loop and attaching it to the base. The top of the lantern is a bead cap and a bead. Finally, I'm painting the lantern bronze. and attaching a piece of copper tinsel inside as a light. I'll use bottle brush trees in natural shade to add to the ornaments, and I'm decorating them with bronze-colored trim and little pearls. Finally, I've decided to decorate the dresses with mica. I'm smearing the paper with adhesive stick. I've decided not to use white glue here as the paper would crinkle. And I'm sprinkling some fairy dust. All that is left is to tie hanging loops, and here we go. Making such paper dolls is so exciting, it's no wonder they're so popular. A little paper, a piece of lace, a piece of ribbon, some glitter, and you end up having an adorable vintage ornament. I've prepared many printables for making such dolls. You can dress them in whatever manner you like. Another popular Victorian ornament is a tinsel rosette. For making such rosettes, I'll use tinsel pipe cleaners from Dollar Tree. And to make one rosette, you will need 4 pipe cleaners. I'm cutting them in half and twisting in the middle to get a tinsel snowflake. I'm trimming the edges with wire cutters to keep it neat. The problem is that tinsel looks very modern, so I decided to distress it a little. To do this, I'm using bitumen patina. I'm applying the patina with a brush and wiping off the excess immediately. The tinsel foil gets a beautiful antique brownish shade, as if it has withered over time. Next, I'll decorate the snowflakes with beads. I'm using plastic pearls and attaching smaller and larger beads to the tips. First, I've decorated all the tips like this, but then I've removed part of the beads as they were too many, I think. I think pearls work the best here as they really add to the vintage feel. You can already use such snowflakes as finished decorations, but I'll go a little further. I'm cutting out paper angel faces. These angels had wings and fluffy colors in the images originally, but I erased them in Photoshop. I'm making a frill from a strip of crepe paper by gathering it on a thread, like a fabric ribbon. You want the frills to make about half a circle. I'm cutting off the excess paper and gluing the face onto the finished collar. Next, you want to make wings and nice snowflakes, and I'll use my die-cutting machine again. And for those who don't own one, I'll leave the wings template in the description box. Each wing here consists of 3 parts, and in order to make them more dimensional, I'm attaching squares of thick cardboard in between the parts. This creates some space between the layers of paper, and the wings look much more interesting. I'm attaching the faces with collars onto a cardboard base and cutting them out to ensure a good base for the wings. And finally, I'm attaching the wings. I've also decided to add lace to the rosettes. It's modern but has a beautiful dusty pink color, so it goes great with the pinkish pearls on the snowflakes. I'm gathering the lace onto a thread to make a round rosette and sewing together the edges of the lace. All that is left is to attach the lace on the inside of the angels and to hot glue the finished decoration onto the snowflake. the result is really elegant ornaments. You can make such rosettes, adding frills of lace, crepe paper, ribbons, and the like. And at the same time, although I've used modern materials, the ornament looks like an antique one. I think they look really nice together with my antique-style Christmas glass ornaments. Well, I hope you liked today's project. Please let me know what you think of them down below. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in my next one. Bye!